What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ordinary Ministry Street 4. Today, we're going to be talking about demons and a lesson yet again because the last short that I put out from Bible study has 802 views on it right now, last time I checked, and that was about demons. So, y'all seem to be wanting to know more about that, so we're going to talk more about that today. So, there's 3 questions that we're going to talk about today, and the first one is, what are demons? And there's 3 different scriptures that we're going to reference for that before we talk about it. The first one is Revelation 12, verses 7 through 9. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. But they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Alright, now we're going to flip over to Jude 1:6. There's only one chapter in Jude, so I could just say Jude verse 6, but for technical reasons, we're going to say chapter 1, verse 6. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain left their own abode. He has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. And then the next one we're going to talk about is going to be Matthew 25, verse 41. Then he will also say to those on the left hand, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels." Alright, so it keeps talking about this thing called the devil and his angels. And a lot of these verses are angels who departed from God, who are going to be separated from him in hell forever. What is that? Well, demons are fallen angels. They are angels who choose to go against and sin against God, and essentially what happened is because they went against God, they sinned against him, they knew better. God says, okay, you're supposed to serve me, you're supposed to work for me to achieve my will, but since you're not doing that and you're going against me, I'm going to cast you out of my presence and you're going to be cursed to work for Satan. And that's what happens to them. And they do it because they chose to go against God's will, and they still think that they can, and they think that ultimately Satan can win, even though they all know that he can't. The goal of Satan is to eventually try to keep as many people from being saved by the gospel as possible, and try to bring as many people down with him to hell as possible. He thinks he can be God, still does, and he's ultimately still trying to be God. And God lets him have dominion over this earth, but that's it. That's the only place that he has dominion over. His demons, he uses them basically to does use them to achieve his will of trying to separate people from God and cause them to spend eternity separated from God in hell. So that's what demons are. They're fallen angels who work for the devil now because they chose to go against God's will. And they're trying to achieve the devil's will now. Alright, and the next little section that we're talking about for our next 2 questions is going to be Luke chapter 8, verses 26 through 33. And this question is going to be, what should you know about demons? So what do you need to know about them? Then they sailed to the country of Gadarenes, which is opposite of Galilee. And when he stepped out the land where they met him, a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time, and he wore no clothes, nor did he live in a house, but in the tombs. And when he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For he had commanded the unclean spirits to come out of the man, for it often seized him, and he was kept under guard, bound with chains and shackles. And he broke the bonds, and was driven by the demon into the wilderness. Jesus asked him, saying, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons had entered him. And they begged him that he would not command them to go out into the abyss. Now a herd of many swines was feeding there on the mountains. So they begged him that he would permit them to enter them, and he permitted them. Then the demons went out of the man and entered the swine, and the herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. Alright, so what do you need to know about demons from this story? Well, the first thing that you know is that they are powerful, but there's no reason to be scared or fear them, but you do need to respect them. 100% need to respect them. And the reason for this is that they are dangerous and they can cause you to have legitimate problems. Back then, you saw them take more of a physical form of actually physically and mentally affecting people. Nowadays, we see it in a lot worse mental state of them targeting people through addictions with alcohol, drugs, lust, any sort of addiction. They're targeting them and trying to take people away from God, get them away from Him, and try to eventually separate that person from God for eternity, to spend eternity in hell. And they're trying that really hard. So as Christians, here's what you need to be doing, what you should be doing to prevent this from happening. You just praying daily that God will watch over you and protect you, that He will take care of you. And here's the flip side of this too. If you're not doing this, there's a chance that you will get preyed on by these demons, and that they will attack you, and that they will try to tear you down. Now, the important thing here to know, though, is the reason that you don't need to fear them or anything is because they fear Jesus. They fear God. They know that God and Jesus have the ultimate say over anything. So what you need to be doing is just praying every day like, God, please watch over me, protect me, please protect my family, those type of things, and God will protect you from those demons. He will. But another thing you also need to be doing is read your Bible every day and try to walk with God. That way you don't fall into temptation and these demons don't have a chance of, when you're weak, to prey on you. That's another big thing that you got to make sure and watch out for. Alright, and the last thing that we're talking about is from my last Bible study. We're going to talk about that a little bit more because y'all didn't get to hear what my friends kind of said, and what, collectively as a group we kind of came up with. And one of my friends made a very good point I want to share with y'all today. So it says, do you think demons are still active? Yes, I think demons are still active to this day. I don't think they're ever going to stop acting until God comes back and eternally separates. There's a new heaven and there's a new earth, and eternally separates all the people who are going to spend eternity separated from Him in hell with the demons and all of them, put them all in hell, and then create a new heaven and a new earth here. Now, the important thing to know about this is I do think that they're still, like I said, I feel like they're still just as active. I think there's no less activity. I think they just target people in different ways, like I've talked about in the short, where they target people with things like addiction compared to things where they would target people back then with like physical illnesses and things of that nature. And one of my friends did make a very good point that I would like to talk about with y'all, and I want y'all to know this is not my point, this was my friend's point that he made during Bible study, is that back then there wasn't a lot of good medicine or hygiene or anything like that, so demons target the physical illnesses in people and use that. And then when they can use that, they can mentally target people. Nowadays, with better doctors, things like that, they can't quite do that. But with more access to things, other sinful things, what they can do is they can target people through things like addiction and still mentally affect them and spiritually get them off path and separate them from God and try to really ruin them in the spiritual state of where they will spend eternity separated from God. Now, I do want to clear one thing up. Make sure that this is crystal clear. If there's demons in somebody's life, they still can be saved. Like, that's not changing anything. From the minute that you can understand it and somebody explains it to you, to that second that you draw your last breath, you can be saved within that time span. Within that time span, you can be saved. But that has to be a choice that you make. And if demons get into your life and they affect your life, that's going to make it extremely hard for you to get saved. Or if you are saved and demons get into your life and they affect it, it's going to get you very, very off path to God, and it's going to be very hard to get back on. So thank y'all for watching. I just want to jump on here and talk to y'all about that today. I am going to ask that if y'all get something out of this, that you share it with any of your friends or people like that. People that you know, that way that they can get something out of this content. I ask that you do that with all the content, because this content isn't so that I can get all the views or I can get famous or I can get subscribers or anything like that. The content that I put out so that you and other people can get something out of this, and hopefully God can plant seeds and change y'all's lives. Thanks for watching. and I hope to see y'all next time in Ordinary Ministry Shreveport.